Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Fabulous. I'm excited to visit with my guest. Later today, we're going to talk with Mark Friedlander. He's got a book called Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, and it's not a true book. It's what they call educational fiction, and it's about Leonardo da Vinci coming back today and seeing all the things that he invented in use, which I think is a cool idea. But Mark has some statistics on how educational fiction helps kids learn. So that's really cool.
That is cool.
Take a listen to this. A man was arrested in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, after he opened the door of an airplane that was about to take off, and he leapt to the tarmac and ran back to the terminal. What in the world was that all about?
Whoa.
I decided I don't want to go.
It was getting ready to leave, or they had been sitting out there for hours and hours and hours?
They were just getting ready to take off, and he jumped out and ran into the airport.
Yikes.
Bad idea. For almost a century, in many parts of the U.S., people have referred to carbonated beverages as pop. Mm-hmm. You ever wonder why that is?
Not
It's because
really.
of the noise that you make when you open the can or bottle.
Yeah,
It would pop open. Maybe not quite like that, but back in the 1930s, many grocery stores had a comic sign in the window that said, "We don't know where Mom is, but we have pop on ice."
Aw.
Do you call it pop or soda, or what do you call it?
I call it pop.
Pop? I think I do, too. I don't know. Every time, because I've heard it referred to as soda. I remember one time I was in New York City, and I asked for a soda pop, and the guy was laughing. He's like, "This boy wants
When
a
you
soda
asked for pop, and they said, what?
I said, "Yeah, pop. What?"
And then you said, soda pop?
He's like, "This boy wants a soda pop." I'm like, you're just making me look like a moron. All right, coming up, we've got some special things happening today. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today,
I thought
John?
you'd never ask. It's Friday, April the 29th. It's Arbor Day. It's also Bats Day, International Dance Day, National Hairball Awareness Day. Our cat's coughing things up all over the country today. National Teacher Children to Save Day, Peace Rose Day, World Wish Day, and Zipper Day. You know, it
There you
took
go.
50 years to invent the zipper?
I did not know
They worked on that sucker for 50 years. I'm not exactly sure why, but that was a toughie. So I'm glad they figured it out, because that makes... Do you ever have button-fly pants?
I did when I was younger.
When I was younger, I had those too. That was terrible.
I liked them.
Oh, man, it was awful. I was like, man, this takes forever. And then I'd get a button off, and then I was like halfway buttoned up and get to the top. I'm like, what did I do? Oh, how did I do that?
Sounds to me like you're making a lot more
It
complicated
was.
than it
I know.
needed
I'm
to be.
glad we have zippers. Happy Zipper Day to you. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. An edible prank. A Wisconsin high school student has been sentenced to probation for baking hair in a cake and serving it to his teachers.
Ew.
John Smith, that's his real name, shaved his body hair
Ew.
and then baked it into a cake and brought it to school for his class. When he couldn't serve it in class, he brought it to the teacher's lounge. After it was half-eaten,
Oh my gosh.
school officials discovered there was hair throughout the cake. So John Smith got himself in all kinds of trouble. Sentenced to probation for doing this.
That's disgusting.
That is very disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Have you ever intentionally cooked something that you wouldn't eat, but you were trying to get somebody else to eat it?
No.
I'm going to tell you a story about... there was a story that I heard that I was not firsthand knowledge of, but we'll see if this...
Somebody else, not me.
It
not
wasn't
me.
me that did this. No, there was... when I worked at the furniture store growing up, they were talking about this guy that he kept taking everybody else's stuff, and he wasn't supposed to. Like, he'd eat... If there were cookies or brownies or whatever back there, he'd take them and just eat them. So supposedly they took some chocolate X-Lax and they mixed that in with the brownies. And he ate them, and let me just say it this way. He had the rest of the day off. Like, apparently, if you eat a whole bar of that, it's not good for you. But that taught him the lesson, supposedly.
Believe it or not, somebody I know did that same thing.
So now, the person that you know, do you know for sure that this happened?
Oh, yes.
Because I wasn't there. They just told the story, and that really worked?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming so. The guy didn't come back, and he didn't eat their food anymore.
Steal their brownies no more. All right, well, there you go. You know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. A Head Start teacher in Nashville was surprised when a 4-year-old brought a bag of marijuana to school. That's not good.
Not at all.
That's very bad. The youngster said it came from his mother, Yolanda Burns. Burns arrived at the school and was questioned by detectives. She told police that she would test positive if given a drug test, and she admitted to using the illegal drug earlier, but she denied either giving it to her son or letting him have access to it. She's been charged now with child abuse. So, again, a 4-year-old brought a bag of mom's marijuana to preschool. That's a bad idea. That's one more reason you shouldn't do drugs. I mean, there's so many other reasons. But definitely don't do that with little kids in the house because, look at that. This little kid took this to school. That could have turned out really, really, really bad. Thank goodness the child was caught by the teachers and they weren't doing something with it. You know, somebody get really sick. That would have been really bad. But kids, this is why you don't do drugs, because you do silly things when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Some people just refuse to believe the Civil War is over. Newton Station, PA. Security guard Curtis Stoney showed up for work with 2 Confederate flag stickers on his pickup and another one on his lunch pail. His supervisors told him the plant really doesn't allow symbols like that because it might offend the other workers.
Oh, good Lord.
He refused to remove them, and he lost his job. Now he's suing and arguing that his ex-employer had discriminated against him based on his national origin, which he identifies as Confederate Southern American. He also argued that the flag is a protected religious symbol, and a federal court ruled against him on both counts. So it's interesting that he was standing up. I'm not trying to say that he's right, but he was trying to stand up for something that he believed in. If that would have been a rainbow-colored flag, I wonder if the lawsuit would have been the same.
No, it would have been completely different.
I just, again, I'm not saying that I side with the guy, but I'm just saying it's interesting. If you step on some people's toes, you're a bad guy, but if you step on other people's toes, you're a good guy. You know what I mean?
I know. It's irritating.
So it's interesting. Like
Used
I said,
to be a free country. We're
that
not
happened
anymore.
in Newton Station, PA. And again, I'm not saying that I agree with what he's doing, but what I'm saying is it's just interesting how...
What happened to the day where you could see something that offended you and you could just say, well, that was a little rude, and shrug it off and go on with your life like a grown-up?
Now,
what happened
this guy
to
got
this
fired over it.
entire generation where it's a bunch of weenies that have to whine and cry and complain about every little thing that could possibly
Look at
offend
that.
them?
The phone's ringing. I wonder who that could be.
It's ridiculous.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Trying to cut down on your sugar intake? Good luck with that. It's everywhere. For example, a jar of pasta sauce now contains the equivalent of a candy bar's worth of sugar. Did you know?
Yeah,
I
don't consume jarred pasta sauce. I don't like it. It's too
the stuff
sweet.
that we make is probably the same way, though, isn't it?
No.
There's
I make
no
it from
sugar in it?
scratch.
Yeah, but there's still like tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce, but it's
Wonder if
not
that's
sweet. It's tomato sauce. If you look on it, it's not it doesn't have sugar in it.
All right, well, there you go. Heidi's is good. We should bottle that stuff and sell it.
And it's not sweet. If you eat my pasta sauce,
It's
it is
good.
not sweet. You
Oh.
eat the canned stuff, and you can taste the sugar.
It is good. Hey, a guy in China was arrested after police said he poisoned coworkers by sprinkling his medication into their food. He did this in an attempt to have his workplace shut down so he could get a day off of work.
Well, hey, whatever it takes.
Take the day off work. That's all you got to do. You don't need to poison the whole workplace.
I don't think they're probably allowed to just take days off.
I'll bet
work.
he gets a lot of days off work now. High school students in Wisconsin, there was a student there that wore a Ku Klux Klan costume to deliver an English class presentation, and it caused an uproar on social media. The student's presentation at Westosha Central High School angered some students and parents. In a photo, the student can be seen draped in a white sheet with holes cut out for the eyes and the nose. What was his presentation on? I don't understand what
Maybe it was about the Ku Klux Klan, and
Could
he
have
was
been.
just showing the garb that they wore.
I have no idea.
It's easy to jump to conclusions just because of a picture. This
I
kid
understand.
probably was making a point.
Hopefully. Anyway, that was all over social media, but I did not see it. Did you see it?
No, but people need to calm the heck down.
Which is just I put a quarter in her today. I'm so sorry. A recent study has concluded that regular attendance at religious services is associated with a more optimistic outlook and a lesser inclination to be depressed. The study findings support previous research that religious participation can promote psychological and physical health and reduce mortality risks, possibly by calming people in stressful times, creating meaningful social interactions, and helping curtail bad habits. So they're saying if you're going to church, no matter what the church, if there's some sort of religious service involved in your life, you're more optimistic. I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, we go to a religious service every week, and I feel like I learn something each week. The message is a good message. I encourage that all the time. Hey, if your only chance to squeeze in a workout is at night, don't worry about messing up your sleep. A study from Arizona State University found that people who exercise in the evening sleep just as well who don't bust a sweat before bed. So they're saying if you have to work out before bed, that's still better than not working out. You know when I do my workout?
Never.
When I'm walking from the car to work and when I'm walking from work out to the car. That's kind of the only workout
I at least
get.
try to stand now while we do our show.
Yeah, you're
I
standing
don't.
now. I'm sitting.
I try not to sit as much as
I'll stand
used to.
maybe tomorrow. How's that sound? Hey, scientists at the University of Wisconsin-Madison think obesity might be a contagious disease. They gave the human virus AD37 to chickens, and the birds developed 2 to 3 times more body fat than the other chickens on the same diet. 2 related viruses, AD36 and AD5, have also been shown to cause obesity in animals. A spokesperson says they can't say that the viruses cause obesity in humans because it would be unethical to inject humans with a virus for the experiment. So there you go. I wonder if they could just
Why not
check and see.
test people to see if they
Yeah,
have
do I
that
have
virus and then cure it?
Could be. Hey, a study of 50 Americans cited... I'm sorry, let's try that again. A study of 50 American cities found that Portland is dead last when it comes to manliness. Researchers use statistics like truck ownership, the number of steakhouses, and they come up with a list. Believe it or not, the manliest city in all of the U.S. of A. is where, Heidi?
I have no clue.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Really?
Man's men there. They all drive trucks and eat steaks. Oh, oh, oh.
Huh.
There you go. I would have never guessed North
I
Carolina.
would have guessed
but,
something in Texas.
Yeah,
but
me too. I don't know why, but it's exactly the same thing I was thinking. So there you go. Again, that was a study that they did 50 American cities to find the manliest. Time for a strange law. You ready for this?
Ready.
I really wish I was. Here we are. In Indiana, it's illegal for a liquor store to sell cold soft drinks. So they can't sell the mixers at the liquor store in Indiana. Because if it's cold, they're assuming you're going to mix it right there and drink it. So That's a strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. And you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for joining us on the John and Heidi Show. Today we've got a special guest. We have Mark Friedlander Jr. He created the Kranzo Institute for Advanced Studies at George Mason University, where he focused on neuroscience and an interdisciplinary connection between the brain and computer reactive system. What we're talking to him about today is how the education fiction books bring brilliance to your children's future, and he has one of those books as well. We're going to talk about that, but first let's just say hello to Mark. How are you, sir?
I am fine, thank you, and I appreciate being invited to your very fine show.
Well, we're glad to have you on the program, and you've got a book called Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, and I'm excited to chat about that. That sounds like a whole lot of fun, and you said that is an educational fiction book itself, and by reading those books, kids will actually get smarter and learn some really good things, won't they?
Well, that's the whole idea. Here is a book. It's a very inexpensive paperback book, and I think every youngster, and it's focused on junior and senior high school readers, understands what a do-over is.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, Leonardo da Vinci, a 15th, 16th century recognized genius and creator of the beginning of the Renaissance, gets a do-over because, according to the fiction, he was born much too soon with his genius because he had ideas way ahead of his time, but he couldn't build any of them. They didn't have the materials. He designed airplanes, he designed bicycles, tanks, automobiles, submarines, parachutes. He did drawings of all these things that he conceived, but he couldn't build them. So in the fiction, he gets a do-over and comes back to the 21st century, where he meets 3 seventh graders who are on a field trip to Florence. And he introduces himself as, I'm Leonardo da Vinci. And the teachers say, well, you're an actor and you're a very good actor, but dead people do not come back to life. And the youngsters, who typically are smarter than adults, say, no, he's real. His task in the fiction is to invent or create something to better all mankind, to use his genius for the 21st century, where we need it.
Yeah, we could certainly use that genius right now, couldn't we?
But while reading the book that has adventure, we have him in airplanes, we have him doing many, many things, and a lot of laughs, there is embedded in the book a lot of educational material that's fun to learn because it's part of the story. And that's the idea of educational fiction, because it creates, in a very nice way, a lot of learning. And the amazing thing about the book, if I may say so, is that the publisher, a small publishing house in Washington, D.C., Science Naturally, anybody who has the book goes to the website of the publisher, and for free, they can tap onto a link and get a 60-page teacher's guide that has all kind of activities and further things that relate to different chapters of the book.
That's a really cool idea. So this would be a way for teachers to bring this into a classroom as well and really put this stuff in action, if you will, in the classroom.
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, it's more than just a teacher's. Anybody should do it. Obviously, homeschoolers should do it. But anybody who wants to further expand, you don't have to get the teacher's guide, but it's there, it's available, it's free. But the book is easy to come by simply going to Amazon.
You just made a comment a minute ago that I think is absolutely brilliant, that when kids are reading the story that they like, they start learning some things too, which they're learning while they're having fun. As a child, my favorite teachers did exactly that. They made class fun. So they found a way to take this boring subject we're talking about, whether it's math or science or whatever it is, and they brought it to life by making it a fun subject. And that sounds to me like that's what you've done with this story, is let's take some statistics and some facts and things that you're going to learn, but we're going to bury that inside of a really fun story that you want to continue to read.
That's exactly the idea. And some neuroscientists have observed that there is this, I think they call it the soft spot, that is, at the age of around, I don't mean soft, sweet spot, at the age of around 15, there is a lot of material that these young people can absorb. It's a good learning time.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect time to read this kind of book and observe things beyond STEM, beyond Common Core. They're all good, but this expands far beyond it because we've got math, science, history, geography, all embedded in the story. And as a matter of fact, many adults who have read it have said to me, gee, I didn't know that.
It sounds like a really fun book. It's called Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, Innovators in Action. And we're visiting right now with the author of that book, Mark Friedlander. Mark, where can we find a copy of the book, Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over?
Well, all they have to do is go to Amazon and write in Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, or even easier, go to Google and type in Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, and it'll all pop up.
Well, thank you very much for taking some time to visit with us today. It sounds like a fascinating idea for a book. Is this your first book, or do you have other books out there as well?
Well, it's not my first book, but it's the first one that is focused on educational fiction.
Nice.
I've done some fiction and some nonfiction, but this is the first, hopefully, the beginning of a whole series. That's what the Innovators in Action, so that there are fictional stories geared to the young adults that are fun, and believe it or not, educate.
Well, history can be fun, and learning can be fun, and it sounds like you found a really fun way to do that. Again, the book is called Leonardo da Vinci Gets a Do-Over, Innovators in Action, and again, our author guest today has been Mark Friedlander. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The Volkswagen Beetle was discontinued in 1978 because sales were down, but they were brought back to the market because of the publicity and fanfare in 1998. People said, we want those back. Our daughter has one of those.
She does.
She's got a little convertible Beetle. They're cute. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Buckingham Palace has more than 600 rooms. You've been there, haven't you?
I have.
I've not been there. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Twinkies are 60% air. So that makes them like a health food, because air is good for you, right?
I love Twinkies.
Actually, no, I don't think they're as good now as they used to be. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The state of Alaska could hold the 21 smallest states. That's how big it is. It's as big as 21 other states. That's big. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Americans eat 12 billion bananas every year. I, on
that
the
is
other hand,
not our household.
eat less than 12 per year. I hardly ever have bananas. When I do have them, I like them. I just never crave bananas. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
If you look at a basketball, it's mainly orange, but there are some black lines on a basketball, and those black lines have a name. They are called channels. That's what they are. Now you know. It's your fun fact on this Friday.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Got a disturbing story here. A 16-year-old boy from Montville Township, Ohio, is being investigated after charges that he cooked and served a couple of animals he reportedly picked up at a pet store.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, his high school principal, Beto Gage, said the boy intended to prepare a meal of wild game for fellow students. And this is for a living skills class, similar to like home ec. However, according to the Humane Society, the boy purchased a rabbit and a guinea pig from a pet store. Then he killed them.
Oh, my gosh.
And then he cooked them and brought them to class where they were cooked and eaten. Ironically, there may be nothing to charge him with. Ohio state law forbids needless killing of committing an act of cruelty against animals, but the argument for the police, they say, if you're going to eat it, is it needless? So right now, he may not have actually broken any laws.
Right.
So there you go.
I mean, it's not like he tortured it.
No, they don't know because he didn't kill it in class. He just cooked it in class, and then the kids all ate it. But he supposedly, I don't know what the difference is if he hunted the rabbit or if he got one from a pet store.
Right. I mean, he paid for it.
As soon as I said I don't know what the difference is, I'm thinking there's probably a huge difference here. So he supposedly hunted a rabbit and a guinea pig, but he actually bought them at a pet store. That kid is dedicated to getting his project done, at least.
Absolutely.
I've never heard of such a thing.
I
And,
personally don't really have a problem with that.
living skills
he's going to
class.
either shoot one outside or he's going to.
So when you
kill
were in
the one
home
he
ec,
got.
did they ever have a chapter where you bring wild game in the class and eat it?
No.
I don't remember ever doing that either. Times haven't changed. So again, a 16-year-old boy went to the pet store and picked out food to feed to his class, which is interesting. 2 stories today about people feeding weird things to people at school.
Where was he from?
He was from Montville Township, Ohio. That's where that one's from. Coming up here in a bit, we've got some good gigs for you. If you're looking for a job, maybe these are not good gigs. These are things you probably don't want to do. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
If you're looking for work right now, you might be kind of picky and choosy as to what it is you want to do, but some people just have to settle for whatever they can get, right? So if you think maybe you've got a bad job, take a listen to some of these. Express Personnel Services said they have hired temporary workers to do these things. So these are real things. Somebody was hired to, quote, wipe blood and spit off plexiglass at hockey games. The job paid minimum wage. Somebody else was hired, again, through this personal service, Express Personnel Service, I suppose is what that is, to chase deer off airport runways so airplanes could land. What's my job? I chase deer around at the airport. That's their job. They got minimum wage for that. Another person was hired to pour thousands of cans of rancid beverages down a drain. They got paid minimum wage for that as well. And then finally, a company in Redmond, Washington actually hired 3 temps for minimum wage to, quote, look busy and look professional to make visitors think that we have a larger staff than we really have. So their job was you just sit over there and look busy. We're trying to impress people as they come in.
Huh.
Can you imagine getting paid minimum wage to do? Wait a
That'd
minute.
be awesome.
We kind of do, don't we?
You get minimum wage?
Oh, wait.
I don't even get minimum wage.
We're working up to it. Coming up, we're going to talk about soy sauce, and maybe you're not supposed to have so much of that. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Disturbing news for our son because he loves soy sauce.
He does.
I mean, we'll have rice, and he'll use half the bottle of soy
Yeah.
sauce on it. I'm like, you got to calm down on that stuff. Well, now we have a reason to tell you, lay off the soy sauce. It could cause cancer. Yeah. If the MSG doesn't get to you, the soy sauce might. Australian scientists are warning that a chemical found in many common foods, especially soy sauce, is, quote, probably, unquote, cancer-causing. It's called ethyl carbamate, or ECB, and it occurs naturally in foods like breads and yogurt and alcohol that undergoes
Ew.
fermentation during the process of storage. The International Agency for Research on Cancer upgraded the risk from possible to probable. So they're saying maybe you want to steer clear and not have quite so much of that. That's disturbing.
So that includes alcohol?
Yeah, they say ethyl carbonate,
That's not good.
breads, yogurts, and alcohol. But the thing that was highest on the list was soy sauce. So I don't know. It must just have a lot more of whatever this is. in it.
Bread and alcohol are 2 of my favorite
I know.
things on this planet.
I could go without eating yogurt, but I like bread, and I could see this being a big problem in our households.
Yeah.
All right, coming up here in a bit, we're going to talk about breakfast. It's a meal you absolutely, positively must have, and we're going to talk about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
If your household is normal, you probably have your biggest meal of the day in the evening. That's what most people do. Now, you don't want to be like most people. They say breakfast is a meal that you should make absolutely sure that you eat, and it should be your biggest meal of the day. Bizarrely, some experts recommend that in an ideal world, you would have your largest meal in the morning, then reduce the size per meal throughout the day. However, this is not how we seem to be trained to eat. For whatever reason, this is just the way we've never really done it this way. We don't have the appetite in the morning or whatever. But they're saying if you're eating a lot right before you head off to work, that's going to help you at work. If you eat a lot right before you go to bed, that's probably not going to help at all. It says to ensure that you do have a breakfast that's ideal with lots of protein, they say you should have things like eggs and fish or lean meat. Have we ever had fish for breakfast?
Never.
I can't think of a single time.
No.
So what do you got for breakfast there? Well, I got eggs and some fish. That doesn't even sound right.
No.
I've never seen fish on a breakfast menu. Now, I could tell you, the other day, we had breakfast. I made bacon
and bacon
and
is
eggs
definitely
and all
not
that.
lean meat.
Yeah, but I think I could go for the breakfast maybe without the bacon. Was reading a story not too long ago where they were suggesting you have Canadian bacon or ham for breakfast.
I love Canadian bacon.
Do you really?
I do. I really do.
Why don't we ever have that?
I don't know. I didn't know anybody else liked it.
Well, I think we should get some. We should try that, and then we'll have breakfast. Maybe tomorrow. I'll wake up early and make you some breakfast.
There
How's
you
that
go.
sound?
That sounds great.
Sounds like a plan. Oh, we're still working right now?
Yeah.
We should probably get back to work. Coming up, we've got a really cool story. I always have some good news, and I try to end things here with good news, and I think this really is some good news. We're going to share that in a bit, and I encourage you all, get up early tomorrow and have a big breakfast, and then it's like slow down throughout the day and have a tiny little dinner and see if that helps you. According to that story, it's supposed to.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is good news. This is a guy who's actually putting his money where his mouth is, and I like that. When somebody stands up and says something, and then they back down and they don't do what they say, that makes me mad.
Right.
But this guy, a Christian conservative blogger, has made a public plea to a woman who tweeted that she was planning to abort her baby. He's offering to give the child a loving home. Matt Barber is the guy's name, and I don't read his blog, so I don't know anything about it. I just found this online and thought it seemed really interesting. He runs a website called Barbed Wire. He stumbled upon a tweet from a woman named Quayleen who stated, "I will terminate a pregnancy soon." She said that in a tweet.
Why would you tweet something like that?
I don't know. After the birth mother told him, "We can't afford a baby," that's that. There are no other options unless you want to kick in $50K. Well, Matt, again, this guy's Matt Barber, put his money where his mouth is, and it offered to adopt the baby and pay all of the costs. That's pretty darn cool. And, you know, I think there are other people out there as well that would do that would say, hey, we've been trying for years to have a baby. I think that process is so slow and so difficult.
It's ridiculous.
And here's the thing. I understand you want to make the process, you want to make sure that it works. You don't want to just say, you want a baby? You've got a baby, and you've got a baby, and you've got a baby. But when there's babies that are wanted, and there's babies that people want to have, I think this is really cool. I have a link on our Facebook page, and I guess we'll see. Comment on there what you think. Maybe you think it's a terrible idea. Maybe you think this is awful. Maybe you love it. If you'd comment, then I'd know. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show, and I've got that story there. What do you think of that, Heidi?
I think it's fantastic.
I think it's really neat as well. We know some people who have adopted, and I think it's a really cool thing when you can adopt a child.
We know many people who have adopted.
A ton of people. When you can adopt a child and love them as your own, that is an awesome thing.
And we also know several people who have aborted a child, and it kills them. I mean, they
literally, she's gone. She's no longer with us.
Couldn't handle what she had done, and
every time she would see our daughter, she would
cry because they would have been about the same age.
It's like that. I would have had a daughter that age.
It's much more devastating than people.
You don't necessarily think of that, but forever you'll remember. So anyway, if you'd like to know more, I'm going to throw again a link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. And if you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
All right, I got a couple of fun stories to share here for our bonus break, and I've been just stacking up more and more stuff. I'm going to hopefully be able to get through all this stuff tomorrow because I've got some of this stuff. When I hold on to it, by the time I finally get around to reading it, it's like way long.
From like 2008.
No, not quite that long. But like this one here, this was, what is the date today? The
29th.
So this actually happened the other day, but it's still a good story. The Olympic flame kicked off in a 15-week trip around the globe Thursday of this week. After it was lit in the birthplace of the Olympic Games in ancient Olympia, Greece, the relay torchbearers will pass this flame across Greece for the next 6 days. Then it'll be handed over to Brazilian officials in Athens on April 27th. Spectators around the world can follow the torch's journey from Greece to Brazil, handoff by handoff, online at Olympic Flame. If you go to Twitter, at Olympic Flame. The torch,
is that something that has ever interested you? Like
What's
watching the passing of the torch? I mean, has that ever been like, I really need to see this?
The thing that's neat to me is the fact that this flame makes it from one side of the world all the way around to the other side of the world, and it's still lit without burning a bunch of stuff down. Because can you imagine? If I had to just take it from here to home, I'd probably catch something on fire. You lit a table on fire once, and it was just sitting still. The torch will pass through hundreds of hands before lighting the cauldron at the Macarena Olympic Stadium in Rio de Janeiro on the evening of August the 5th, 2016. I've got a link to all of that excitement on our Facebook page. And I also have a link to this. This is fascinating to me. The Titanic. Remember that? It struck an iceberg late one night in April of 1912. It sank about 2 hours and 40 minutes later, early in the morning on April the 15th. Now, thanks to an animated recreation, you can watch the entire thing unfold in real time. It's a little over 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of animation. According to the Huffington Post, the simulation includes the iceberg strike, the ship coasting to a halt in the northern Atlantic about 20 minutes later, lifeboats being lowered into the water, and even the scenes of the flooding of the interior corridors, along with the showing of the sinking ship in real time. The simulation has captions describing what was happening aboard the ship at specific times, as well as anecdotes about some of her passengers. I've got a link to that because I just thought that was fascinating. Now, I got to tell you this. I did not watch the entire thing because when I posted this and when I found this, I did not have 2 hours and 40 minutes to waste. But maybe this weekend I will. I'll go back and check it out. It's really, I think, quite fascinating. Did you know that the movie Titanic is longer than it took for that boat to sink? I didn't know that.
Well, isn't Titanic 2 hours?
No, it's longer than that. It's a longer movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, anyway, it took longer for the actual movie than it did for the boat to sink. So, when I was a kid, I had an idea for a movie. This is before the movie Titanic, but I had an idea for a movie called Cruising Through Time. I still think it'd be a cool idea for a movie. Did I ever tell you about this?
Oh, yes.
My idea, I'm going to share this. So if there's any filmmakers out there listening to this bonus break, here's some free fodder for you to maybe take and go make a movie. And then if you make it, don't forget that I shared this with you because I will keep this podcast as evidence. But my idea was, and this is, back in the 80s, so there still were people alive who were on the Titanic, and I thought it would be a really cool idea for a movie where there would be some kids, like neighborhood kids, that go to a garage sale and they buy a trunk. And they thought, hey, that'd be really kind of a cool trunk to play with. But they didn't realize is that it was a trunk from the Titanic. And they're kind of looking at this thing, and it was a beautiful trunk from this little old lady that lived on the corner. And she was telling them how special this trunk was. So they get the trunk, and they're playing, and the one kid gets inside of it, and they close the trunk. And then when he opens it up, he's not in there. The other kid opens it, he's not in there. And then he goes inside, and they both were on the Titanic then. They went back in time. That was a special trunk that took them back. See? So, and then they meet her, and she's a girl their age on the Titanic. See? I thought that was a cool idea. So Heidi's checking her text messages so clearly. Clearly it's not that fascinating. If you'd like to watch that movie, just go to Fantasyland with me sometime, because apparently it's never going to happen. Thank you so much for the confidence booster. Hey, the bonus break today brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, a commercial mortgage bridge loan could be just what you're looking for. They earn 6% to 8%. You can get all the details at commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.